should be fine now. I think I'm online again. All right. So you can all right. So you can see my screen, right? All right, perfect. Yeah, so, oh, wait a second. I should probably switch off mobile internet from my smartphone. Otherwise, I don't know where it gets streamed to. Okay. Okay, you are back. All right. So you just, because I wasn't able to watch your stream because I didn't have internet. So you just explained Luxo a little bit and how to make an animation. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let me check. So I assume that people understand Luxor now, or like a little bit. Let me check. See my chat. Okay. So yeah, we basically depend not only on Luxor, but also on latex strings to have basic latex commands. And this is not too important at the moment. Additionally, so one thing is that we can Luxor doesn't have latex support, so that's like the first feature we built into Javis, which only works if you install a node module which renders the latex to SVG, but is probably getting a little bit complicated. The more interesting one probably is, well, I think something to animate something like this, or to have some morphing stuff like this one. And yeah, maybe we can. Oh, right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So in general, we have basically a few structures which you need to define an animation. So maybe okay, this is actually not the best example, I think. Do you have like a very basic animation example? Oh, this one looks good. So basically, Okay. Um, I think Jacob is referring to his pull request. Okay. I hope you don't hear me twice because of his microphone. Um, okay, yeah. So we basically have this video and then a list of actions and a video, which is basically also what we have here. A video is basically just defined by the dimensions and some kind of definitions object where we can save stuff in between for later usage, which is like global to this video. But it's normally not defined by the user directly. Then we have this transformation object. Oh, actually wanted to go to the action object first, which is like this one here, where basically we define the number of frames this action is being drawn, and then which function is called. And they can have different complexities. So this is basically the most basic one. Then they can also have an ID, and instead of the name of the function, you can have like a inline function kind of thing to it, which in this case returns the position of the circle such that the red ball is basically a variable which holds the position and the angle of the circle, which you can see here, and you can give it rotation. So the rotation is normally around the origin. This is basically this part, the transitions, and so this is basically the rotation it's starting, and this is the end rotation using the in between these 25 frames. For the blue ball, so I would like to, I'm not sure whether it's generating this one actually, but I think it might does, is that this blue ball is rotating around the red one, such that the origin is basically a link to the red ball. And we also draw the path from the red ball and the path from the blue ball, which with some kind of color. And this, we don't need the position of the path, so this doesn't get a symbol like this. And this is just a function basically to draw a line between the red ball and the blue ball. So this line is the red for radius or whatever. Sorry. And here we have access to the position of the red ball with this position function. And you also have access to the angle, which is always set to 0 here in this transformation. Because it's not reasonable to define an angle for a circle, I guess. So yeah, do you have any questions so far? How does everything make sense? Oh yeah, maybe I should also talk a little bit about this background action at the moment. But I'm not sure whether it might make sense to wait for Jacob, and maybe you can just um, ask questions. But yeah, I think he should know the background action, so I think we are fine. I'm not sure whether I can. Too many windows open. Not this one. This one I want to see. Okay. So yeah, the background action is something specific. So we have this ground here, which is basically drawing the background in blue and the background in white, and sets the normal default color of the pen basically to blue. And if this is a normal action, this blue will not be exposed to the outside. Oh, Jacob is back. All right. I'm currently explaining the background action. I'm currently explaining the background action. Yeah, so I explained the action and the video, and now the difference between background action and action. Okay, no worries. So yeah, basically, so this is the action type, and this lists a lot of different actions for this Jarvis method, which basically creates later the animation, which I think I currently haven't generated. But it basically does the following. It rotates a red circle around the center and a blue circle around the red circle, and also shows the connection between them. Exactly. So, oh, I think I missed. Yeah, let's go back to this. And we basically define that our animation has 25 frames, and all the actions in this animation also have 25 frames. So the default frame rate is 30, so it's a bit less than a second, and then it's just repeating itself when we create a GIF, whatever out of it. Yeah, we have basically a background action is just another type of action, which has basically one option set, so that it exposes everything to the outside world instead of being inside a layer and not exposing anything to the outside, such that this set hue, which is basically set color, but don't change the alpha value, that this is basically the new default color of our drawing, of our animation. Yeah, and then basically we always need a list of frames, or a unit range of frames here, and a function that is drawn during this time frame. So this is the most simple one. The next one is basically we call a function with some arguments, and we need this basically anonymous function to provide arguments, because basically this is not a function call, it's the function name, and we need a function name instead of a function call. So we have to create a new function for this. And in this case, I want to draw a circle with the color red at position P1, which is set here. And circ is basically setting the color, drawing a circle with the luxor function, and returns a transformation, which is basically a point and an angle. And this transformation is basically saved in this symbol, such that we can later access the position of the red ball at the current position to draw a pass, for example, or such that the blue ball can rotate around it. And we actually don't draw the circle at this position because we do some transformations beforehand. So in this case, we do one transformation beforehand, which is the rotation. And we are rotating from one angle or from a starting angle to a end angle, target angle, which is from 0 to 2 pi. Are you still there? I can hear you, yeah. But unfortunately, I'm not totally sure. Can you say something again? Okay. Okay, I can hear you, but my stream can't hear you, unfortunately. I think there's some weird audio issue. But I will explain or rephrase your questions if you have any. Sorry, which line again are you referring to? 41, this one? Okay, all right. So yeah, and it's basically, it can be seen later on as a variable of this video object. So that's why the video has this so-called defs or definitions dictionary. And what this basically does is it calls the circ function when this action is called. It gets the transformation of the red ball back, converts it into the global coordinate system, basically, and saves the position of the red ball in this dictionary as basically as red ball transformation, position of red ball, and angle of red ball, if that makes sense. And so this is basically an assignment of the red ball. And in the rotation, so this is the start angle, the end angle, and it also has like a third argument, which is normally the origin, is the basically the position, the position of the rotation, which is changing in this case. So I can't really define, or don't want to define, the actual position because it's changing. So I refer to it's just the position of the red ball. Okay. So yeah, this is basically the action of the blue ball as well. And then I also want to not only basically change the position of the two circles, I would also want to draw the path of it. That's why I created this path function, which just takes in a lot of points, a position, and a color, and it just pushes the new point into the list of points and then draws a circle for each point. And here again, I use the red ball, but this time I'm actually only interested in the position of it and not the angle. And in this rotation, it's basically automatically knows, okay, I can't rotate around an angle, so I get the position of it. But in this case, because it's your own function you need to define, I'm really interested only in the position of this red ball. Okay, and the last action is just for defining this line between the two balls. So this red function is just a short form for radius, I guess, which is again a user-defined function which just takes 2 points and a color and draws a line between those 2 points. Okay, maybe I don't want to change that anymore. Yeah. Does actions make more sense now to you?
In like a set range or unit range. And since we're going from like frames 1 to 25, in this case, the you would have 25 different frames with each of these actions being applied to each of the frames. Is that correct so far?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, so I was just saying when I was explaining it, how for this example here, you have a unit range of 1 to 25. So you have 25 frames. And I was
Yeah.
saying how basically each of these actions are then applied to each frame
Yeah.
in consecutive order. So basically, it's like you can think of it somewhat as like you're reading down like a list of instructions. So like line 39 would be like the first action that's applied to the frame, where it's like draw the latex title. Then line
Yeah.
40 would be draw the
Actually,
red
actually,
ball.
line 38 first, but yes.
Oh yeah, 38, 38. So 38 would be like the general um, background um, for it. And I guess the only other question that I have is when we call an action, I was still confused a little bit about the struct or the structure of um, like what the actual action is. Just because I understand that it has a unit range. It takes it can take an ID. Yeah. Okay. So I see this. I see the struct that you're pulling up. Takes ID. Takes functions. My question is how in the Javas command, how does action know, or how does Javas handle taking action and actually applying what you give it to a given frame?
So you basically want to see the JavaScript, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so one point is first of all, this is probably still not interesting. Yeah, so probably start here. So we defined all the frames first. So basically we go over each action to get the list of frames. So we know in our example, we only have the frames 1 to 25.
Yep.
And the idea is basically to create a drawing for each of the frame and later on just combine all the drawings and create a MP4 or GIF or whatever out of it. So yeah, this is just the create a drawing command of Luxor. This sets the origin at the midpoints. And then we basically, this is probably better for later. So then if we are, for example, in frame 1, we check which action needs to get applied for frame number 1 in order. So first this one, this one, this one, this one,
Yeah.
all are applied to frame number 1. Then we have to check whether basically it's a background action or an action. So if it's a background action, we don't want to have this layered structure because we want to have it exposed to the background, such that we can, if we don't like that the origin is in the center, we can translate as we wish there, and it's used for all the actions. And in the perform action, we basically compute the transformation of the action first. So in these two first examples, we don't have any transformations of the action. So that means we don't need to move the plane or our drawing canvas anywhere. We just stay where we are, and all positions are from the origin.
Okay.
For the third action, we actually want to do a rotation. So the rotation depends on the frame number we are in, because this rotation struct defines basically the first rotation or the first angle and the target angle. So in frame number 1, we have an angle of 0. And in frame number 25, we have an angle of 2 pi.
Yep.
So compute transformation actually basically just creates, for the first frame, we have an angle of 0, and then we have an angle of, I don't know, I don't know, 2 pi divided by 25 or whatever, like a small angle.
Yep.
For the force action, it's getting a little bit more complicated, because we first need to get the position of the red ball and define basically what I call an internal rotation. So an internal rotation has a defined angle and a defined center,
Yes.
whereas a rotation has basically either a defined, well, it has either, it has basically the range of the angles, and they're either floats or like a symbol, as in our case. And the internal rotation is basically one fixed rotation, whereas the rotation which is exposed basically to the user is a list of rotations for which it gets animated, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so that does make sense. So the question I have here is, so here, just make sure I'm understanding. So you have the red ball symbol. You have from and to being the angles, the radians that you're trying to get to. So my question is though is, does the red ball symbol here, does that get applied to each and every single part of the rotation struct here? So that symbol that I see, is that symbol associated with the from, to, and center characteristics of the struct? Or what is the symbol that you're referring to?
So the symbol is a variable, which means for each frame, it's calculated new because the position of the red ball changes.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
I think that does make sense. So you're saying that the position of the red ball changes, so accordingly, it would get the new change for the rotation of the blue ball.
Yeah.
Like basically, like where it should be according to like where the red ball is.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think you left off. You were talking about internal rotations. Oh yeah, you're here.
Yeah. And then the next step is basically to perform this transformation. Or like, I don't know whether that's the correct English word for it. So we basically calculate whether we have to translate our canvas, whether we have to rotate it or scale it or whatever. And the next step is basically to actually do these transformations. Instead of just calculating by how much we have to translate it, we actually translate it now. And then this line 526 actually calls this function, so the action function.
Okay.
And at that point, it's basically up to the user what happens.
Okay.
And this result is basically if we return something, like in this circle or this circ case, and we have basically an ID for this action, so a variable to hold that information. Then we save it to this definition struct. And we have two cases. Either we return a transformation. What we want to do then is to, okay, maybe it's easier to explain it a different way, is inside for this red ball, we did some translation or rotation beforehand. And then what we return is actually always the same thing. So from that point of view, it didn't move because we translated it beforehand. But that doesn't give us much information. So we actually have to convert it from this translated or rotated coordinate system back into the global one and save the global position or transformation of it.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the how to handle the angle properly. So maybe we need to transform the angle as well or whatever. Just some thoughts from my side at the moment. And if we don't have a transformation, we basically just save whatever we got as a result. And maybe the user can use it in the way he wants.
Okay, got you. All right, so I am understanding what is going on here. So that's exciting. So then to kind of just wrap things up, what ends up happening, and to clarify, which is this the rotation function that we've been working on, like the perform action? Well, the perform actions for any action, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so perform actions for any action. So that does make sense. So then, say if you wanted to create your own own function. Well, not your own function. I guess your own action in a sense, where you want to maybe instead of um, you know moving around the circle, you want to create a new function that just randomly assigns a color to, let's say, maybe I'm just trying to think of like a simpler example of like what we could use to make like an example sort of action that would be performed. So say if we want to uh, maybe change, yeah, maybe instead of giving a color for the circle, say if we want to, for the first ball, like on line 41 or line 40 of animations.jl, say if instead of giving cert a color, um, we actually create just like a generic ball. Say if I wanted to create a function that just randomly assigns a color to that ball, how would I do something like that?
Okay, so because this is part of a test case, it's probably wise to just move it out of that. And so first of all, we basically always should do this. So we also need these functions. Yeah, I just
Oh, did you just update to?
I updated to 1.5, so basically nothing is installed.
Oh no.
Okay. So we want to save that maybe here. Also, when we are done, we probably want to delete this all the images we created, and we want to create a GIF out of it. And the path name of the GIF is dancing. Codes.
Oh, you might have an error with not having Store. Possibly, I'm not sure.
Not having Luxor installed, or what do you mean?
Yeah, like not having Store installed, or do you already have it installed?
I think I have it installed.
Oh yeah, there's Store.
Yeah.
I can see it.
I installed some of it before the stream started, but I missed revise.
The best package, or one. I think honestly, I think Revise is like one of the coolest packages. Honestly, for Julia.
Yeah, it's normally the one I install the first, I guess. Or I would install the first if I like change to a new computer or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, pre-compiling takes a while, but so what you wanted to do is to not create a blue ball, but to have like a random color ball, right?
Yeah. So say if between line 42 and line 43, there like what I imagine in my brain right now is you make like like a ball, like it's just, the symbol is just ball. It's not like red ball, blue ball. It's just ball, and then the function could be like random color or something like that. So how would I, make that function? How would I make a ball that choose that color, and then how can I use that ball, in future function calls that I want to use?
Okay. So I might create just a new ball. So the most simple way is probably to have color defaults to nothing. And if color defaults to nothing, then set a random color. Oh.
And actually, what I was thinking is rather than modifying the circ function, could we make another function um, that all it's doing is just simply like making a ball a random color? Or do you think it would be better to just keep it in the circ function?
So you want to change the color, just
No worries.
Let's do this version first and then discuss the other one later, I think.
Okay, that sounds good.
Because I think what you're referring to has the problem that normally the color is not it's not exposed to the outside world. So if we change the color, or basically just set a random color in an action instead of doing anything with it, we don't change the later behavior. So yeah, now we just added a ball which is rapidly changing its color every frame, which is, I hope, what we expected.
Yep.
The animation is quite fast.
Yeah, it's very
So
fast. I don't know why it's so fast.
I know.
Oh, it's because we had the frame rate set to 30 probably,
Okay.
and then like
Um,
it's only 25 frames. So if you did like maybe like 100 frames or something, that'd probably be maybe nicer. I'm not sure.
yeah, I think 50 is quite okay already.
Yeah, 50 looks alright.
I know one of my viewers likes it to be fast and a lot of colors. So he will be disappointed now. Sorry. So yeah, what you wanted to do is basically to set a random color, just setting a random color, right?
Yeah.
So you would do this basically like this.
Oh.
Okay, that doesn't have. Okay. It's true. So this one would basically sets a random color for each frame,
Mhm.
but this will not do anything because it's inside a layer. So it sets a color inside the layer, but it's not exposed to the outside world.
Okay.
What we can do instead is basically if the color is nothing, we don't do anything, and otherwise we set the color. So if we say ignore basically the color and set this one to an background action, or background action doesn't have a name, I think. We will now have changed basically the color of the global layer.
Okay. Okay.
Such that this is basically the new color for all the actions.
Okay. Oh, by
But
the way, just to let you know, one of my viewers, he said that the drawing looks really good. It looks so good.
thank you. um, so yeah, I hope this makes clear the difference between a background action and an action.
Yeah, yeah, definitely does. Um,
And
what were you gonna
yeah,
say? My bad.
no, go on.
Yeah, okay. So I was just gonna say, so I think I'm almost there to understanding. So with background action, so you said like with the random hue, it changes the color of like the layer. So my final question though is why is the line not changing color? Is that because you set the color to black in line 49?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if
So
we,
you're redefining the
yeah,
layers basically background color.
so if we have also um, um, if we have basically this,
Oh.
okay.
Oh goodness.
Oh, okay. No, this is unexpected. Oh
Oh
no,
god.
no. It's okay. I thought I changed the blue dots, but I changed the one that's connecting the circles. So everything is working fine now. Yeah.
Okay. And so why
So
aren't the
base
blue dots and the red dots? Why aren't they changing color?
because I define the color in this pass function as well.
Understood. Understood. Okay. So Yeah, so that's becoming a lot more clear now. So background action applies everywhere. Um, and then so my final question. No, okay, so that's really cool. So basically, when you take a background action, you apply like the color here. That becomes almost like the new default, if you will, of the animation, like the animation color at least. So
Yeah,
uh, by you redefining um, the path being red and blue, you don't have you don't have them changing colors because you said that they're red and blue.
yeah.
So okay, that's really cool. That's really fascinating. That makes a lot more sense now. Um,
But they also just changed the color for their layer. So that's why later this one, the connection is random instead of the last, which is blue,
mhm.
because the
No,
normal actions are layered.
yeah, no, that makes a lot more sense, and I think I understand the idea of what a layer is basically now. So, um, so I guess my final question, just and I think I'm pretty much understanding a lot of what's going on. With the, are you changing it back to normal?
Yeah.
All right, it's normal now. Um, all right, so everyone, we have normal colors again. Be happy. No, I think everyone enjoyed the colors. That was cool. Um, so I guess my final question, just with background colors, background actions, and layers, is um, with the background action. Hang on, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase the question, because I understand layers to I think a great the majority. So does background action, does that, the way I see it is that background action basically creates a redefinition or like a default, if you will, for the rest of the image or the rest of the layer. Does that make sense, or is that a proper way of thinking about it?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Can I
Okay.
just wanted to check how I defined the background action directly. Okay, I think uh, might make more sense if I also do um, uh, okay, maybe um, I'm not having too many.
Wow.
Do you? So it not only changes like the color information or whatever, you can also define the general translation um, of of the backgrounds, and then because it's in global layer, it applies to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I start with at the origin, and then I'm moving down hundreds in like
Mm-hmm.
50 frames, so two down every frame. Um, and if I basically just want to, we probably want to have an easier version of doing this instead of defining it twice. What we can do is basically just move everything 100 down at the beginning. Okay,
Uh-huh.
this is a little weird. Uh, okay. Okay, I think that might be unexpected behavior. Definitely
Oh, is it?
unexpected for me. Um, so I expected it's kind of that it's just shifted everything 100 down, but actually the animation changes because they're not connected anymore. Because the um, this translation does not uh, is not properly saved in the red ball, I guess. I'm not totally sure what's going on here, to be...
To be like, okay. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand what you're trying to say, but it seems like we just need to fix the. For some reason, the translation is not being applied globally to everything else too. Not sure why
Yeah.
that is.
And I
But
think that's unexpected. I think it should be. Yeah, probably good to open an issue for that. Yeah.
all right, we're issue hunting as well today. This is good.
All right.
No.
Are there any questions from the audience?
All right, let me see. So I'll ask my audience. So guys, everyone watching right now, does anyone have any questions kind of about what we've been working on, what Ola's been showing? I'd love to answer any questions that you guys might have, or like have Ola answer the questions. If you have questions, just comment and we can answer them here. So, do you have any questions on your stream, Ola?
Not at the moment.
So, actually, I did have one question from a little while ago, and this was back when everything blew up on your end. Um, so the question was, can Javis do a transpose matrix animation yet? And
Why
then
does
secondly,
everybody wants to do that?
yeah, like I've seen that question a lot. Like remember we were talking, like that was like the first thing I talked about with you. I was like, I remember somebody was wanting to do a transpose. You're like, why? I don't know. So can Javis do a transpose animation? And so the user who's asking that question, later on, I showed the PR that you made where you showed that you could move the LaTeX image back and forth.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I showed that, and um, he said that that would be possible then. So I'm not entirely sure if that is possible. Do you have any? Do you have any like comment about that question? I suppose.
We have an issue for it.
We have an
At
issue.
least. Yeah, animate transposing a matrix. Um, I think there are a lot of different ways of animating it, though. So one can basically just move the components around, or like flip the matrix around. But none of it is implemented so far. So if somebody is interested in implementing it, go for it.
All right. So you heard that stream. Anyone interested in transposing matrix? Come in, help us out. We'd love to help.
Yeah, it's to be honest, it's even though it's requested, I don't know whether it's always the same person requesting it or whether they are different people requesting it. But it's kind of not that high on my list currently, but probably just because of my personal interest.
Yeah. Let's see. Um, so the other question was, is it possible to move numbers around the screen?
Yeah, that's you just need to define. So basically, so this does move the equation around, at least.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So I guess to answer your question, the user's question, Thanks for asking it, by the way. So it is totally possible, as I was showing here. Um, the implementation we're still working on just a little bit, but it is totally possible.
Oh yeah, we are working on a lot of documentation. I
We're
think I
working
should
on
write
everything.
a tutorial on the basics, I guess.
Yeah, actually, that'd be, I think, a very good idea. We need to make tutorials. We need a lot of tutorials. I think,
Yeah.
because I think it's going good so far. But I think, um, yeah, yeah, just like from anyone having like initial questions to more complicated things, um, I think that would be smart to do at some point. But so far, I'm looking at my chat right now. I don't see any other questions. Does anyone else have any additional questions, or is that it? I think that might be it for questions on my stream, at least.
All right.
Hmm. So, so I guess to kind of wrap up at least this part of the stream, I suppose today. So Ola, can you kind of so we chatted about this in the past. Um, this might be kind of fun to talk about with the everyone on the stream right now. So, do you kind of have like any big dreams or big goals for Javis, like for what it can be able to do someday? Like, what's kind of like the big picture thinking, and like if you could kind of distill down, what your hope is for Javis into like maybe a short paragraph or something. What would be that paragraph? Like, what would be your hope for Javis?
That's a really good question. Um, I don't have a specific answer to that, I guess. So what I want to use is sometimes I just have like simple, weird ideas like creating an Enigma machine, for example, and just want to visualize something. And I'm always um, not sure which visualization I want to use for that. Sometimes I tried Luxor for it for basic animation. I tried Makey, which I have problems with. I tried switching to JavaScript, which is probably what my go-to solution at the moment. But want to do it with Julia to, and also like have my own way of expressing things, which are because it's my code or it's our code.
Yeah.
I have like full knowledge about it, hopefully, and I can do whatever I want. Um, what I would like to do is at some point do probably some visualizations for my constraint solver. Um, I don't know, some interesting Sudoku visualizations
Ooh.
or creating tree structures for branch and bound trees or something like that. Um,
Oh yeah.
how about you?
Yeah, well, we've chatted about it like a little bit, and I think before I answer the question, you brought up a really interesting point, which was you were saying just now, like you tried using Makey, you tried using other sorts of visualization tools, and you said JavaScript is your go-to, which I think is fine. But you know what? I guess kind of my dream or like my kind of thought or my goal for um, jobs would be like that kind of give you the freedom and the flexibility to actually do what you want to do without having to introduce a second language. Like really solving, not necessarily solving this 2 or 3 language problem, but you know, I would love it to be able to do rather like complicated animations using Javas, but then keep it simple enough to where you can still stay within Julia to be able to do it. So like
Yeah.
we were chatting the other day. You were chatting the other day because I couldn't sleep because I got this idea in my head about could I visualize something as crazy as a brain with Javas, and we were talking about it just yesterday, and we realized like holy crap, yes, you can. We have the tools to do something like that, and I think that is very powerful. And I think what would be my dream kind of for Javas would be to like definitely like mathematics. I think is a wonderful domain for which visualizations can be made from. But I think it'd be amazing to actually like just give a tool set that people could use to make almost whatever visualizations that they want to make in an easy fashion. Not saying like they could do anything and everything, because there's definitely like limitations for sure, I believe. But um, to make I think to even make some more complex, complicated animations, Javis is I think by far the like one of the tools people could actually start using to make not just simple visualizations, but even maybe more complex visualizations, which to me is just very exciting, like very exciting. So I guess my just overall dream is to make this be like an all in, not like an all in one sort of tool, but a tool that you could use to really just let your imagination go wild. Like don't be limited
Yeah,
by like what I got super excited about was the fact that I could see Javis being a tool where um, you can really use your imagination in a lot of different ways because it's actually like what we've been providing for people. It's actually not that hard to work with the tools. Like the tools that we've created aren't that hard to use and they aren't that hard to understand just yet. Like probably the hardest parts to understand might just be the background of computing transformations and that sort of thing. But once we provide like users a better interface to actually be able to make this sort of thing, I really think you're really freeing people's like imaginations to just kind of go wild with whatever they want to do, which is really exciting. So,
yeah, that's true. It's always nice. I think this is kind of probably my first project which will not only do what I want, but hopefully other people can use it as well and do something with it which I have never imagined. So all the other projects I work on, they're more like other people use it as well, but it's not like, oh, they use it for something like really different than I imagined.
yeah.
But here you can do, hopefully you can do quite a lot with it. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm
Yeah,
interested
like
in what people are doing in the future.
exactly. Like I think this is like giving people a platform to be able to do a lot of cool things. So that's what I'm super excited about. Like for example, myself talking about making a brain visualization. You're like, you can do that. So it's just kind of exciting. So I think with that being said, um, I don't have any more questions in my chat. So I think we can go ahead and at least end off this portion of the stream. I might actually like work a little later, or like in maybe a little like couple minutes on some Java stuff actually. So I might switch. I might come back to stream about Java's development. I'm not sure, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it good for the stream. Do you have any closing additional thoughts, Ola, or what are you thinking?
Um, no, I would just so as everybody probably can see, this like the very beginning of Java. It's probably, if you're interested in it, like, please get in contact with us, either with Jacob or with me. Probably the easiest is via the Julia Lang Slack, or message us like here in the chats or on Twitter or whatever you prefer. Um, you can also just watch the GitHub repository to be up to date with it. Um, and yeah, feel free to open issues with your ideas on how it can be improved. Um, Definitely, if you find any bugs, open an issue for that. Yeah, thanks for posting the link to the Slack, Jacob.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my clothing thoughts for it, I guess. Um, and I might, I'm not sure whether I will continue streaming. Probably maybe later. I need a little bit of a break first. And maybe I can fix the background action translation or whatever issue. Yeah. So you might stream as well later again, Jacob?
Yeah, I might do it a little later. I think I'm gonna get some. Oh, I haven't eaten breakfast yet. I need to go eat breakfast. So I need to go eat breakfast, and then I'm gonna get up and around and everything, and just see how family and stuff is doing. So with that being
All right.
said, I think we can go ahead and end off the stream. Thank you so much for doing a co-stream today. This was a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again sometime in the future when things aren't blowing up. But
Yeah.
everyone. So I'll just sign off on my end. So I'm gonna hang up on the Google Hangouts call. So
Just one mention. So I actually asked someone in my flat I'm living in, or like the whole dormitory was 40 people or whatever. I messaged one and he said he also lost internet connection. So it was not only my flat. It was a bigger issue.
Excuses. Oh, come on now. No, I'm sorry, dude.
It was perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Like just as you were about to start going into stuff, you lost. Like you left, and I was like, oh no. But it's fine. I think we still had a lot of fun. I hope people still enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hang out on the Google Hangouts. I'll Slack you later, Ola. You take care.
All right. See you. You too.
See you. Bye.
All right. Yeah, I will also might stream again later. Too sure yet. Definitely work on the background action bug we experienced during the stream. And I also want to thank everybody who watched the stream. I want to thank my patrons, especially the ones here who pay more than $4 per month to support me. They mostly support my blog, I guess, and a little bit my live streams. On the blog, which is, let me give it to you in the chat, which is this one. I blog about my constraint solver mostly, some basic Julia Julia posts. And if you support me on Patreon, you get the post 2 days earlier than everybody else. And I also want to thank my anonymous friends for the intro music, which was before my internet died. So people in this stream probably missed it. But yeah, anyways. Oh yeah, so because it's also the start of the month, on Patreon, the money always gets to me at the end of the month. So if you just want to enjoy the perks for months, and then you don't like it in the end, you can just basically destroy your accounts, sign off, whatever, unsubscribe, and don't pay anything. So yeah, maybe just check it out and